breasts.
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 Breasts. Breasts.
Breasts. Breasts. Fuck birds.
It's fairly normal. I usually get around 200-ish people in this time period, maybe slightly below average. I don't even know who the fuck Nerdonic is. Phil is in full meltdown mode after being banned from Stream Elements. He's sitting there and begging to send money to his PayPal. I bet he wishes he took Keemstar up on that offer. What happened? Did people get him banned from Stream Elements for some fucking stupid shit he said like 12 years ago? Yeah, thank you. I appreciate the videos today. Let me answer these super chats first so I don't get behind. Jeremy, you got the breasts.
Your shoulders. Your shoulders. Your shoulders.
I have breaking news, men. That is all. Thank you. Richard Masucci, come out with your shirt off, and here I am, out with the shirt off. That was fucking quick, huh? So there was a little bit of a upheaval today on the main channel. As you saw, I put 3 videos up. 2 of them are doing very well. 1 of them, but who cares? Why am I even bringing that up? That's like something the courtroom could do. Fuck you, Rich. Well, I had a sponsor, Athletic Greens. They've been very patient with me. They were great. This is nothing on them. And the deadline for the sponsor spot to go up was today. I was supposed to have this up today, this M.2 drive video, but I want to be very careful with what computer I hook it up to because it's a 25 terabyte Chinese knockoff drive, and I can imagine for all I know, it could smoke the USB port that I plug it into. So I wasn't going to have it ready. It's still coming, but different day. So the reason why I chose the ad I had today on an apology video was because it was the longest one. It made more sense to have it on a video that would still be 13 plus minutes long than have a minute plus ad on a video that was 7 minutes long. And it had to go up today. So that is why that happened. That is how it is. All sponsors do that. There's deadlines. And if you have to meet that deadline. It's not just Athletic Greens, it's all of them. So and on top of it too, I wasn't like, coming out and saying that I pistol whipped someone and robbed a bank. I'm coming out and saying that my interview sucked. Like, relax. No. The sponsors tell you where the ad has to be placed. That's all of them. That's not just this. That's not just one. And yeah, and the other thing too is like I'm not apologizing. There's a couple. First off, I don't have that many sponsors. Like I have literally maybe on an insanely good month 5. I put up approximately of like what's 30 times 2. I barely miss a day, so around 60 videos a month. Like if it really bothers you that much, you were going to unsubscribe anyway. You know what I mean? Hey Rich, kiss the birds me and relax your shoulders, pimp. Look here. Yeah, well, here.
Try to relax your anus.
Look here. Look, listen.
So I sent you a video of my hell. Also, I got through a hellish week. I'm having to wait another week to get my Samsung S22 Ultra from iPhone 11. iPhone 11 is still a good phone. About Stadia getting shut down, good riddance, should have never existed in the first place. I don't agree with that. We're not ready anytime soon for a all digital stream cloud gaming future. We're still about, I would say, 15 plus years off. But they could have even had a niche market if Google didn't come out and just half-baked. Like, they straight up pulled, like, the Halo Infinite of launching a platform, So that's what it is. The That was the reason why that ad was on that video. That was the best place I thought to place it. And honestly, yeah, the apology was genuine, but it wasn't like I was apologizing for like something Onision did. You know what I mean? I wasn't looking for a cupcake. You know? And like I said in that short that I did, how many times do news websites like Kotaku and they say that, oh, update, we made a mistake with this. This is what happened. They still have ads on there. You know, I don't understand why with YouTubers there's this. I know it's fine. It's just kind of frustrating a little bit. I don't understand why with YouTubers there's this high standard set. Is it because there's so many fucking scams that people do? What is this? Who the fuck are you? iPhone kicking your butt. Why is it kicking your butt? Is shopping at one is opening in my country, but you have to pay for membership. I don't know. I've never shopped at a Costco. I've never shopped. Why are people making a big deal over spawn? They're making big deal. I think what happened was people saw the title, I failed you, which is true. I did shitty interviews. I failed to give you an interview where I actually asked questions that you should have heard from Tommy Tellerico. So I think they saw apology and then they see sponsor and it's like, oh my God, what a piece of shit. Like I was saying, like I was like, guys, I have to apologize. I went to a farm and shoved my fist in a bunch of cows' asses. Like, of course, if it was something, like, for example, perfect example of something I did and did not monetize the video was when I used a homophobic slur when I got pissed off at a troll. It is not a word I have used since, so it's not part of my normal vocabulary. I put up a video an hour later, and that video was not monetized. That is, if I monetized that kind of video, that would be me being an absolute piece of shit. 100%. I would fully agree with everybody. You know what made me think of that video? Besides the article I think Bullcraft sent to me. Shout out to Bullcraft. Was us watching those interviews the other day. I'm like, man, I know it's like it's at 86% likes. I know the majority, like the comment section of a video is a Yelp ad. The only people that comment usually are there just to bitch. Just like Yelp. Like no one ever goes to Yelp to like, oh wow, that restaurant was great. That's not human nature. If you're getting exceptional, if you're getting a good experience or the experience you expect, human beings are like, I don't give a shit. I don't appreciate it. That's just human beings. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, today was the last day of the month. And between, you know, my editor had to go away for a week. I have shitty time management, which is something I still need to fucking work on. And life just happened with me with things, too. You know, I was going to do I'm still doing this video. That's still happening. But I just wasn't going to get it up today. And I'm like, I'm like, which video is the longest? And I thought to myself, okay, of course my apology is genuine, but I'm apologizing for something that isn't heinous. And it's a long video where I talk about a lot. I think this is the right spot to place the ad. But, you know, it's YouTube. That's, you know, sponsors have her. So, breaking news, Skyrim justifies its $7 price tag by increasing the detail on your player's ass cheeks as you're naked through the floor. I thought you were actually going to tell me they like added extra skins or something like that. That's what I'm saying, man. Like, if it was an apology where I did something along like, what was that stupid fucking CSGO Lotto? I don't know if T. Martin had ads. I hope to God he didn't have ads in that. Or something really, like I had a crypto and made a fake one and it was a pump and dump scheme. Like that Save the Kids shit and whatever The Ice Poseidon. Why the fuck would you invest in an Ice Poseidon crypto? Spam the applause, please. And I think that's a thing. Thank you, Cosmic. And I think, like, really, you're going to have a spot. But I'm like, sponsors are part of, you know, again, context is key. Depending on what I apologize for, of course. If I did something terrible, I know I'm repeating myself, but if I did something really terrible, like when I said that homophobic slur, that was very bad. If I put ads on that, you would shut my channel down, let alone lose subscribers. But for what today, I'm like, you know, I'm apologizing for making an oopsie for how I handled interviews. I was explaining the story of the Amico. It's the longest video I have today. That's why I made the choice I made. If that's not enough for some people, I understand. I appreciate your support for how long you've watched. Carlos fell over and his head fell off. I'm not kidding. He had an issue with one of his legs. I had it like glued on with that hot glue. That held it for quite a while. The bird took a beating. It no longer held together. And then I put him downstairs and a cat knocked into him. He fell over and off came the fucking bird's head. Not getting a real bird. I'm going to have this thing crowing and shitting in my room. Can you play the Phil mating call? Also, why is Phil a man? I need you to tell me what makes him so irresistible. You know what's funny is that there were people today, because I was making fun of Jordan Peterson for crying about the oppressed incels. I saw the clip. We're going to watch the whole thing. People are telling me I'm taking it out of context, and they're saying that I'm not a man because I get shirtless and kiss bird. Like the amount of mind losing I because I said that is absolute. So I'm like, fine. You know what? We'll watch the whole fucking video tonight. If his tears are justified, I'll be like, you know what? The man's tears are justified. Jesus Christ, man, like people come out of the woodwork. There were people that would jump in front of a train for this man, all because he tells them it's not their fault because they can't get laid. So we'll find out what's going on with Philip Burnell. Yeah, and it's like the same thing for Elon Musk, too. Yeah, I know. And let me just say something real quick on Phil before we get into Man of Meat and Tears. Look, I have a blast talking about Phil. To the people that were mad at me for saying stuff about Jordan Peterson. They were trying to insinuate I was bullying Jordan Peterson. Yes, I'm bullying the multi-millionaire grifter. I'm such a meanie. The guy who went after fucking Elliot Page out of nowhere, calling the physician who worked on her a criminal. Yes, I'm attacking him. I'm the big mean bully here. Yes, I may have the bigger tits, but I assure you, with his diehard fan base and his wealth, I'm not the person on solid ground in this debate. So yes, I'm bullying him. I'm a big mean bully. But let me get back to, because they brought up Phil. That's how I went into Jordan Peterson. Like, oh, he's bullying him and he bullies Phil. I don't want to see Phil off the internet. I don't think Phil's a bad person. I know he hates me. I genuinely don't. I don't understand. Why do you want him gone? He is very entertaining. And he's not a horrible human being. He has made stupid choices. He has said terrible things. So have I. But why do you, if you hate him that much, don't watch. It's not that he's there's so many other people that they're putting out dangerous misinformation. They're filling people's heads with misinformation that are literally going to tear my country apart. Why Phil? Go after terrible people. Not just people that are dumbasses that fapped on May 1st, 2016. Nay the national anthem while I jerk. I will give you horses. DBZ, I missed your super chat. My apologies. Man, some of them came in quick tonight. People are treating like your J Station pudding. In. Yeah, I was going to... Perfect example. I forgot I was going to bring that up, and thank you for reminding me. Like, if God forbid my significant other died and I had an ad and I kept ads on, that's what terrible people do. That's what J Station did. Like, context to things is key. Me derping interviews and saying, look, I fucked those up, guys. Like, you know, I'm not like celebrating the death of someone and plopping an ad on there. I don't know. It's the YouTube is a bizarre place. I just went through hurricane. Thank God I am all right. And my property is firm, by the way. What happened now, Rich? It's just YouTube drama. And honestly, you know what? I place ads on any video. People get pissed off and unsub anyway. People despise, which I also don't understand. It's annoying. I'm kind of bitching about it now. I shouldn't be. I should know how YouTube works by now and stop crying. Anyway. Yeah, dude, he was putting ads saying, oh, my girlfriend passed away at a drunk... It wasn't she that she got hit by a drunk driver? You know how many people have lost loved ones because of that? And you're gonna sit there and say and lie about that happening and make ad revenue off of it? Oh, fuck off, man. Fuck off. Can I twerk on your stream? No. You're not seeing my large ass here. Anyway, Jordan Peterson already looks like he has a stick up his ass. This is going places at 0 seconds.
Tonight on Piers Morgan Uncensored, one of the most fascinating and controversial polemicists on the planet. Dr. Jordan Peterson's books became overnight hits. Millions watch him online, and his tours pack theatres across the world. He's a clinical psychologist whose fans treat him more like a rock star. And tonight, we go toe-to-toe and most definitely uncensored.
What about a copyright claim for this? I don't think so.
This is Piers Morgan
Yeah, why does he look so upset? Like, I guess he's trying to look really professional.
Uncensored.
Well, good evening from London and welcome to a special edition of Piers Morgan Uncensored. Dr. Jordan Peterson, one-on-one. He's a clinical psychologist turned culture warrior and one of the world's most famous and infamous intellectuals. His books are instant bestsellers. Tens of millions watch him online. Legions of fans swear by his straight-talking guidance.
Yeah, he looks so strange for some reason in that intro. I'm not trying to pick him apart, but oh man, look at Ben Shapiro in the background. I think he has an erection.
Breasts.
Oh wait.
Breasts.
Oh, I guess one of the developers from Saints Row Reboot said people who don't like their games are terrorists and that don't like it, don't buy it. Oh, please send that to me. I beg you, Susha. Send that to me on Twitter. What a video for tomorrow.
What I've recommended to people is clean up your room.
But his outspoken views on issues like feminism.
The taming of the wild man, essentially, by the desirable...
Please, I hope they don't go into the virtue signaling shit, because it has nothing to do with that. It's just a bad fucking game. Even if the writing was excellent, even if the missions are broken, the areas are desolate. The only thing fun, there's a couple fleeting moments where the combat's fun. I'll admit it. And the broken driving physics. But I don't even think they're meant to be like that. Like, you could go over a broken fire hydrant and your car will lift up.
And virginal woman. And if you think women don't want that, then you better bloody well come up with an explanation for 50 Shades of Grey.
And gender.
You won't use my pronouns, so I'm pretty sure you're my enemy, yes.
Yeah, well, I know you think that, but I don't believe that using your pronouns is going to do you any good in the long run.
Have made him a lightning rod for controversy. Almost 40 million people have now seen this notorious interview with a British news show.
You're exercising your freedom of speech to certainly risk offending me, and that's fine. I think more power to you as far as I'm concerned.
So you haven't sat there and I'm just trying to work that out. I mean,
Ha, gotcha.
Celebrity friends face criticism just for meeting him. He's loved, he's loathed, but he's never
He pulled a debate me bro moment there, really?
ignored. And tonight, Jordan Peterson is uncensored. Well, Jordan Peterson joins me now. Jordan Peterson, welcome.
Thank you.
To Piers Morgan Uncensored. I suppose my first question, and there will be people genuinely wanting a simple answer,
Yeah.
but there's a bigger answer too. Who is Jordan Peterson?
Well, I'm a clinical psychologist and a professor, and I'm doing that on a broader scale now, I suppose. But it's an extension of what I've done since 1987, really. I mean, I taught the same things I'm teaching, although I've expanded them all throughout my academic career, and my classes were very popular, and not popular exactly. They
were popular. They were not popular.
The students found them extremely useful.
Why have you become so notorious? Because I look at it as, I've actually watched a lot of your lectures. I've listened to hours of you and Joe Rogan talking about stuff. I don't see the devil that some people try and portray you as, at all. And it seems to me the one thing we may share in common is certainly not intellectual prowess, where unfortunately I'm many yards behind you. But what we do share, I think, is that a lot of people...
Why don't you just get on your knees and suck his cock, Pierce? I mean, gargle his nuts while you're at it, by all means, please. Jesus, I'm not saying to shit on him, but at the same time, I'm nowhere near as intelligent as you. Can I put my nose in your asshole, sir? Jesus, yeah, seriously.
Hand jobs all around.
You never, ever mess with a British reporter. They do not mess around. Look at how the BBC destroyed Ben Shapiro. I know later on he starts asking him tough questions in Pierce's defense, but that beginning was just like... Credit to POV Info. I didn't realize Kermit went down. I guess Miss Piggy finally broke things off. Yeah, he does sound like Kermit the Frog, doesn't he?
People seem to have drawn an opinion about us based on either what they've seen in a tiny clip, taken out of context a lot of the time, or what they've been told to think about you by other people.
Yeah, well, that's some of it. I mean, I got tangled up in a political controversy in Canada. I mean, tangled up. I put my foot in it to some degree because I wasn't very happy with what I regarded as government overreach in relationship to who is in possession of my tongue. And I decided a long time ago, and really a long time ago, that I was going to say what I thought, and sort of independent of the outcome. You know, often people craft their speech. You know, I could have come here on your show, for example. I spent half an hour thinking, well, what do I want out of this show? But I don't think like that. I wanted to come here and have a conversation with you.
You don't actually make notes, I'm told, before your big
I make
lectures and
notes,
speeches.
but I generally don't.
But, dude, you interject yourself. When there was that, like, BBW woman who was on, I forgot the cover of the magazine, he said something stupid, he got burnt and fucking cried about it. I don't know if literally cried, maybe. And then remember the whole thing with Elliot Page and how he would die before he deleted the tweet, and then literally days later he had deleted the tweet. Like, dude, you put yourself in shit all the time. Shut the fuck up.
Use them. So I have to prepare, you know.
And are they different when you go on tour? Is every night different?
Yes. I never do the same.
How do you
lecture
decide
twice.
what to talk about?
Well, at the moment, sometimes I'm taking questions from the audience, and so I just do a Q&A, but I don't look at the questions before I go on stage. And I ask my wife, who asked me the questions, not to show them to me. And then if I prepare a lecture, I usually have a question in mind, often that relates to one of the topics in my books, but sometimes something I'm thinking about, and then I use the lecture as an opportunity to explore that question and answer it while I'm watching the audience to see if my words are landing. And so it's...
I wasn't going to say it because I was trying to be... He just said, all right, what... I read the audience and see, how can I grift? I was holding it back. I'm like, be objective, Rich. Oh, fuck, he said it himself. He said it himself. Slightly more softball. Oh, God. Okay. All right. That's where we're going.
It's an opportunity to think on my feet. And I think part of the reason the lectures are well attended is because it's a high wire act in some sense. Because I never know when I go on stage whether I'm going to bring the lecture to something like a punchline, to something like a conclusion. And I have no idea, because I'll have a variety of ideas up in the air.
That's extraordinary. You have no idea where it may lead to.
No. No. It's an exploration.
Is that not scary? I mean...
Yes. But, you know, there's an idea that the truth will set you free, right? And that's a very strange idea, because you could imagine...
That's a good question, man. It's like a chicken and the egg one, Michael Cortez, because either way, I mean, I guess get the console first so you have the game, so once you just get the TV, you could plop it in and do 4K 120.
Imagine that I could come here and I could decide there are things I want to do to promote my books, let's say, and I could tilt our conversation towards that, or I could just say, well, I'm going to pay attention to
He's literally saying what I'm... Oh, God.
what's going on here, and I'm going to see what happens, and I'm going to say what I think, and then I'm going to assume that whatever the outcome is the right outcome, because it was based on something approximating the truth.
Ultimately, what is your goal? What is the point of Dr. Jordan Peterson? What do you hope to achieve through what is now huge global fame?
I hope to encourage people. Other than that, I want to see what happens. You know, I want to say what I believe to be true as clearly and carefully as I possibly can, and I want to see what happens as a consequence. And
see what happens as a consequence.
People don't understand about that in some sense is your happiness, the purpose of your life is not...
Well, I'll see if there's any articles backing it up. If it's a credible source, then I could use it. I'll use a screenshot for that. Like Reddit, I would never trust.
Going to be happiness. Sometimes it is.
Consequence
Sometimes
was the wrong word.
But there will be difficult periods in your life, and happiness won't suffice then. But what you can have in your life is an adventure. You can have an adventure. And the truth is the best adventure. There's no doubt about that. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One is, you don't know what's going to happen if you say what you think. Now, I don't mean incautiously, and I don't mean provocatively or any more than necessary. You don't know what's going to happen. So that's very adventurous. But also, if it's you and your voice, then it's your adventure. And if it isn't, like if you're crafting your speech or manipulating in any way, or parroting or abiding by the dictates of the crowd, then I don't know whose adventure you're having, but it's not yours.
You just said that you breathe the crowd to go by. Did he just say that? Or am I hearing shit? Now he's saying to have an adventure, you don't go by the crowd, you go where you like. Which one fucking is it? Yeah, Jordan Peterson's coming on in 20 minutes.
Free speech. It seems to me, in my 57 years of being on this planet, that free speech has never been under more ferocious attack. Not in places you would expect, like authoritarian regimes, but actually in democracies. I never thought I'd come to a day in my lifetime where people were literally being fired or in some cases imprisoned for expressing honestly held opinions, even if I find those opinions grotesquely wrong or offensive.
You know, it's worse than that. People underestimate the significance of this because it isn't, we're not having a fight about who has the right to speak freely. That's nothing. That's a peripheral problem, even though that can be serious in and of itself. We're having a fight about whether or not your claim that free speech exists is nothing but a masquerade for your willingness to dominate and use power. And so if I was taking that tack, I'd say, it's all well and good for you to speak about free speech, but look, you're white and you're middle class and you're British and you're privileged, And you have this theory about free speech that your ancestors derived, but the only reason they ever derived that to begin with is so they could exercise their power. There's no such thing as free speech. That's just a lie to mask a power claim. And that's a way worse cynical criticism of the notion of free speech than you can't speak because I don't agree with
I mean, it's a form of fascism, isn't it? I mean, these people...
It's worse than that.
The kind of the ultra woke brigade out there, they can...
I find that amazing that he says that, but at the same time wants to take away the rights of trans people and consider doctors that work with them criminals. I'm excited for the 4000 series. That's a hell of an upgrade.
Categorize themselves as liberal.
And it's... I mean, look. Let me put my shirt back on, then I'll explain. If I can put my shirt back on. Like, I even said too, and people were fucking flipping out when I said I don't think Roseanne Barr should have been Roseanne. I don't know what is her, just Roseanne should have been canceled because of what she said. It was stupid. I don't think she should have been canceled because of it. Alex Jones, as much as he spews fucking venom, and I can't stand the son of a bitch. I was like, eh. When he actually laid his hands on Marco Rubio, even though it was just like this, I get it. Like, dude, you can't touch someone if they don't want you near him, bro. Did Twitter use that as an excuse? Yeah. But it's always been that way. Like, even in the 80s, if you went into your job and were like, man, my boss is a fucking douche, and your boss heard that and he fired you, you were free to say he was a douche, but they're also a private company that has the right to fire your stupid fucking ass. Like, it's not hard. Now, if Jordan Peterson was in prison for saying the stupid shit he said, the terrible shit he said about Elliot Page, I would defend him and be like, what the fuck? That is fascist. It's like, look, yeah, what he said is terrible and I don't agree with it, but he has the right to say it. But yes, Twitter also has the right to tell him he needs to delete that fucking tweet. Yeah, that fucking weatherman still infuriates me. I don't even want the Rochester. I don't even want to think about that because I'm going to get pissed off.
But there's nothing liberal about that mentality. When you have a cancel culture, which is driven by, if you don't agree with what I say, you're going to get shamed, vilified, cancelled.
Which exists. That weatherman said absolutely nothing racist. He literally slurred together words. And his entire life got destroyed. So that's that's where I don't agree with the left. The left is like even though people say I lean left, which I kind of agree with. I don't kind of agree with. I do agree with. Oh, cancel culture doesn't exist. That's something that the right made up. And that story is factual evidence that no, you're wrong. Is the new American Gigolos here? I don't even know what that is. Yeah, I can't go by that, man. Yes, I know. It's ridiculous. That is dangerous, Joseph. It's dangerous. That's one thing, at least in the States, as of now.
Fired, maybe even in prison. That is actually what fascist regimes do to people, to their populace.
Yeah, but the fascists are more straightforward about it. Because they basically come out and say something like, shut up or we'll beat you.
Right.
Whereas the compassionate types, who are narcissistic compassionate types, they come out and say, well, we're really trying to save the world, you know, and we're acting in everyone's best interest, and we think it would be better if you should just, you know, regulate what you say. Because if you don't, you're not a good person. And so it's much more...
Yeah, you're making that too broad, though, dude. Times change, and there are words that you could have said 10 years ago that you can't say now. We actually heard it in Grand Theft Auto 5 the other day. There were words that were said in the 60s and 70s that in 50s that would never be said now. Yes, I'm lactating. Actually, both of my nipples are... What the fuck is that? My children are here. Yes, 100% DBZ. I do agree with cancel culture is a problem, but other side of it is that people like Jordan using it as a shield to dodge consequences. And a perfect example is that big to-do he made over that tweet. Like, dude, the same thing happened to me. I had up a tweet where some fucking guy, I guess he was doing like some alcohol shot where you light the top on fire, and then he ended up pouring it on his balls. He didn't see anything sexual or like his dick or anything, but he was in a pair of pants, and it was a really funny meme, or like it was like a song playing talking about cock and ball torture. All right, maybe I shouldn't have uploaded that to Twitter. Point being is that I got the same fucking thing he did. Twitter's like, you can't post shit like that. Your account is locked until you delete this tweet. If you delete it, your account's fine. I didn't make a multi-angle fucking video crying about it. I deleted the fucking tweet and moved on with my day. All right, yeah, I won't post someone lighting their balls on fire next time. Sorry.
I'd take the fascist bully over the compassionate narcissist anytime. They're way more straightforward.
I mean, we live again in an era where the hashtag be kind almost invariably is used by people who are the least kind people I think I've ever encountered. In other words, people that love to be utterly vicious.
Yeah, well, kindness...
And yet they hide behind this fake persona of hashtag be kind.
Yeah. Well, kindness is tricky, you know, because one of the things you deal with very commonly if you're a clinical psychologist, apart from depression and anxiety, is, well, behavior therapists offer assertiveness training. And now, the people who need assertiveness training are often people who are too
It's not relaxed, Richard. My anus won't relax.
Agreeable, compassionate, polite, by temperament. Now, the problem with that is that they let people walk all over them because they don't stand up enough for themselves. And the consequence of that is they get resentful, and then they get bitter, and then they get conniving, and then they'll mob. And so, because they're not...
That is true. I agree with him on that. That I've talked about that before, where a group of people, they stay oppressed. Society doesn't accept them. They ostracize them. They stay oppressed. And it's like a pressure cooker. It builds up, and then it goes the other extreme where anything they think remotely that you're trying to offend them, they want to crush you because they've been oppressed for so long that that rage just boils up to the top. That I agree with him on.
They'll do anything for everyone else, but they push themselves beyond their limits, and then they won't even recognize the limits because they feel, well, if I'm not doing everything for you, then I'm not a good person. It's like, no, a good person does a little for you. Like if I'm acting properly with you, say in this conversation, there's something in it for you, and there's something in it for me, right? And we want that to be reciprocal. And so the cost of me bending too far in your direction is that I'll become bitter and resentful and conniving. And resentment is an unbelievably toxic state of being.
Take a short break. I want to come back and talk to you about a random collection of people. Cristiano Ronaldo, the most famous footballer on the planet, the greatest in my opinion, and also Olivia Wilde, who's made a movie in which she said it's about you because you're the
bad guy
that drives some of the worst human beings on planet Earth.
Yeah.
We'll talk about
Jordan Peterson is a gaming racist.
Gaming racist.
And I'll give you one applause. Or two.
Welcome back to this special edition of Piers Morgan Uncensored, one-on-one with Dr. Jordan Peterson. So, a weird thing happened about 2 weeks ago. I was on Instagram and suddenly up popped this picture. And it was you with a friend of mine, Cristiano Ronaldo, the football genius, greatest player to ever play the game as far as I'm concerned. And you'd been to see it just privately. And he was saying how great it was that he'd met you and you'd gone there. And all hell broke loose. He was bombarded with people saying this is outrageous, legend over, legacy finished, none of which would have bothered him because he'd heard all this kind of thing before. But the venom of it was from certain quarters was so pathetic, it seemed to me. So first of all, what were you doing with Cristiano?
See, I don't agree with that either. I've had people try to go after me for someone that I followed on fucking Twitter. They did that to Jenna Marbles, too. Oh, my God, you followed that person? They did the same thing to Tommy Tellerico, but the reason why with Tommy Tellerico I held him more accountable for that was because the fucking guy from Earthworm Jim is a bigoted, racist, homophobic piece of shit, and he doubled down, oh, you're just pro-cancel culture. It's like, Tommy, no, fuck off. It's a little different, dude.
Why were you there?
Well, he invited me to come and see him, and he had had some trouble in his life a few months ago.
Yeah, it's weird
and
the sex
a friend
spots
of
are
his
here.
sent
It's
him
not
some
even a
of my
big stream.
videos, and he said he had watched those, and then he read my book, one of my books, and found them very helpful, and he wanted to talk. So I went out to his house and we talked.
Yeah,
for
he
about
said
2
that
hours.
you're a... I
And he
forgot the
showed
guy's
me
name. I just said
all
it
his
today.
equipment for
You're a
keeping himself in
Christphobe.
tip-top condition, and we talked a bit about his companies, but mostly we talked about what he wanted.
Christo Marty, I am pro-breast too.
In the future and some of the obstacles that he's facing while pursuing that. And so we had a strategic conversation, I would say, for about, on those topics for about 90 minutes.
Were you, in a way, the Ted Lasso figure in his life?
Well, that's what it felt.
Well, that's how I feel about Ren and Stimpy, DBZ King. Ren and Stimpy was a great fantastic cartoon, I mean to say, excuse me. But John Kay is a child molesting piece of shit. There's no other way around it.
He didn't realize he was missing?
Yeah. Well, I think maybe he did realize that he was missing it because he seemed to have found it to some degree in those lectures. And so, and I always like to hear not only what people are up to, but what they want. And one of the things I loved about my clinical practice, which was very much predicated on this, like, well, you're miserable, let's say, and not to say that he was, because he has a good life in many ways, but if you could envision a path forward out of your misery, let's say, to somewhere better, what would that look like? And it's not a question people ask themselves with enough depth. And then, having developed that vision, what are the strategies that might be put in place to make that more likely? And again, not in a manipulative way, but if you had to conduct yourself in the proper manner to bring about this desirable end, or at least to move towards it, how would you organize your behavior?
When someone like Cristiano, who, you know, we know what the personal problem was. He'd lost a baby, he and his partner was incredibly sad for him. And professionally, after that, a lot of turmoil as to whether he was going to stay at his club and so on and so on. It seemed to me, talking to him in the last couple of days after he saw you, he's in a much better place, actually.
That's what happens when you hang out with a reprobate like me.
Yes, but really interesting to me that so you and he both got criticised for just seeing each other, but actually it was clearly very helpful to him.
Well, I hope so. That would be lovely if it was true.
It's a weird position, isn't it? There's you, Dr. Jordan Peterson, this guy that comes out of Canada, lecturing students.
I blame all this on social media. That everyone's instantly, because you could literally be following someone on Twitter. Now, I understand he met with this guy, so it's like a step further. But let's not just be canceling people because they shook someone. You know what I mean? Like, context is key.
And then you're at the home of the greatest football player of all time.
Yeah.
And you're genuinely helping him. I mean, Ronaldo is known as one of the most mentally strong athletes has ever been.
Yeah, right.
Not just physically, but mentally strong. And yet he needed someone like you to help him. I find that really fascinating.
Well, I don't know if he needed me because he's a pretty competent guy, but you know, you can always, and this is something that very competent people do, you can always improve on the edge, you know? And so his life is very well put together, and he had some trouble, but people do. But we talked a lot about what he wanted, how he wanted his career to end in the most graceful possible manner, and how that might be optimized. And so
I hope you told him
to
sign for Arsenal in the January transfer window. Did you, Jordan?
No, I didn't give
him.
him. I don't give. I try not to give people advice.
But, I mean, I'm curious on that because he's obviously reaching not the end of his career by any means. He's still a world-class player, and he's incredibly fit. So he could play for another 3-4 years, perhaps. But what is an end game for someone who's achieved everything in the game?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. It's hard for people who have had a stellar career, especially one that's to some degree predicated on youth, to figure out what to do with the rest of their life. Now, he's well set up because he's a very canny businessman, and he has a young family, and he has lots of friends. And as far as I could tell on that front, he's situated himself extremely intelligently. So I think it looks to me like the transition for him is going to be quite smooth. So, but that's a testament to his wisdom, because he...
How long do they talk about this guy? Like, right, you helped him. I get it.
Made sure that his life was founded on more than one dimension of attainment.
Yeah, he's not really going in yet. He goes in later. It's crazy. Cristiano Ronaldo is one of the most followed accounts, and also you did a British Piers Morgan accent. Also, can you do it? I can't do bloody wanker. I can't. That's what I'm kind of limited with.
And that was very wise. And,
does it make
everyone
you feel?
should do that.
Does it make you feel good that even people like him can find great solace from watching your lectures?
Well, all that makes me feel good. I mean, I do think that this is part of the reason I keep going on these lecture tours, is that it seems to be...
This is a really softball interview.
Doing people good, so...
Let me ask you about kids. What you... by kids, I mean young adults, really, and then into their 20s, trying to form their way through life.
Let's get interesting and stop talking how, hey, you're great. Let me just talk about how great you are for a while.
One of my favorite movie clips is Rocky Balboa. It's probably the non-intellectual version of Jordan Peterson in many ways.
Who has 500 million? I don't even know it's possible. Who has 500 million followers?
Because he said this to his son. He was getting a bit spoiled and entitled and moaning about being Rocky's son and so on. And he says this to him.
Let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it.
Yes. Thank you for being a member for 10 months. I appreciate it.
It's gonna hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. Now, if you know what you're worth, now go out and get what you're worth. But you gotta be willing to take the hits and not pointing fingers saying you ain't where you wanna be because of him or her or anybody. Cowards do that, and that ain't you. You're better than that.
I love that speech.
Yeah, it's good.
What do you think of it?
Well, that ethos was what lifted up Sylvester Stallone to stardom very rapidly with his first movie. And what do I think about that? I think that young people are literally dying for that message. I really, and I mean literally, they're so demoralized. It's just beyond belief. And so one of the things that's been painful about...
There we go. Now it's going to get interesting.
What I've been...
That is a great scene. That is definitely a great scene. That's not in question.
With my wife, as we've traveled around the world for the last number of years, is to see how desperate people are for an encouraging word.
Let's take a break and find out what that encouraging word should be. I want to know why a lot of young people are very anxious about life. Why is that, and what's the best way for them to come through it?
Yep.
We'll deal with that after the break. More from Jordan Peterson in a few minutes.
Piers Morgan's been doing a bet. Yeah, anyone man complains about me having a sponsor 4 times a month, watch regular fucking television, or even watch other YouTubers. God damn it. Motherfuckers have a sponsor in every single one of their daily videos, or they're begging you to buy shit, and on top of it having sponsors and trying to get you to sign up to 4,000 different services. Jesus Christ.
Well, welcome back to this special edition of Piers.
Yeah, I think it gets. I mean, it seemed like it got better.
Censor one-on-one with Dr. Jordan Peterson.
Some people beg you for half the fucking video. That's why I'm like, no, I'm not apologizing for this. I eat my humble pie when I fuck up. You guys know it. I literally did in that video today. But it wasn't a video where I was... Anyway, I'm repeating. Let's just keep going. Can I get some Peterson breasts? Of course.
Breasts.
We left them on the cliffhanger with Rocky Balboa and his address to his son about how to grow a pair, for want of a better phrase. This idea that actually your life is defined not so much by success, because you're everyone's friend when you're successful, but by the knocks you inevitably...
No, you're not. That's not true. A lot of people fucking hate you if you garner any success, man. You're about to see where the appeal comes. Rich, did you know that Cyberpunk has sold 20 million copies across all platforms? Combination Netflix, Edge Runner, and a Phantom Library to easily change gamers' mind. 5 DSP, sure.
Try to relax your anus.
Well, and he gets roasted for that in NYC. But I don't know. It's just funny how people are with sponsors with YouTubers. It's a much different standard.
You're going to get, whether it's through losing loved ones, losing a job, you know, losing a car, whatever it may be. You're going to get hit by blows in your life of differing magnitude. Mm-hmm. And I've always believed that how you deal with the downside of life really defines how you lead the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm. Well, the clip is very interesting because it starts out with the admission that life is brutally difficult and sometimes unbearably brutally difficult. And you can see the progressives playing with that notion. It's warped into this sense of victimization.
How did you turn that into politics? See, this is what. Here we go. This is what I'm saying. What?
But it does reflect some understanding of the underlying tragic reality of life, and so it's good to get that right out on the table to begin with. Say, well, you're miserable. You have your reasons, and they might be deep reasons, but if you let the misery demoralize you and make you bitter and cynical and cowardly and make you withdraw, then first of all, that's a failure in the highest sense on your part, and all it's going to do is make everything worse. And then you might think, well, what do you have to respond to that? How do you respond to that catastrophe and challenge? And the answer is, and this is what Rocky is telling his son in no uncertain terms, is like, terrible as things are, there's a lot more to you than you can possibly imagine. And that if you face those things forthrightly and with some faith and courage, then you can have the adventure of your life and prevail even over catastrophe. And that's true.
Right.
So,
I mean, I couldn't really get my head around why so many young people feel so anxious all the time compared to when I was young, when that wasn't really a big thing amongst my...
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. We just didn't understand it as much back then, Pierce. Yes, it was. Believe me, I have ancestors and family members that should have been on fucking plenty of meds. They just didn't exist back then.
My friendship group, certainly. But I reckon it's two things. One, social media.
Well, there's truth to that. There's a nugget of truth to that.
Constant bombardment of other people having a great time or looking great.
Can't be healthy being with your face down in your fucking phone all day, and I could be guilty of that sometimes too, especially with my job.
Often the false imagery and that having to live up to false ideas.
Yeah, that was bizarre. Altitude. Talking about his grandmother's pubic hair. Wow.
But also a conversation I had with Dr. Phil in America, where his explanation for it was that he said, you've got to understand that social media means that young people now are being bombarded all day long and all night long.
Don't know about tonight, but yes.
With
I don't know if I could actually watch that, actually. Would I get copyrighted for it?
Quite shocking imagery. And he gave an example. He said, when I was young, he said, if a crocodile ate somebody on a golf course in Florida.
Well, there's that too, serial vapist. He didn't have to have like fucking 5 jobs to own a home now.
Chances are I would never have heard about it. It probably wouldn't have made the national news. Probably wouldn't.
You could have a high school diploma and find a job making enough. If I know he was anti-trans, I can understand why people. Not everything he says is bullshit, broken clocks, and yeah, that's what I'm thinking too.
Wouldn't have even made the state news.
There's some stuff he says that makes sense.
I wouldn't have heard about this incident. Now, it's quite likely that a video of the crocodile eating this person would be whipping its way around social media within half an hour. And young kids would be sharing it, disseminating it, and being exposed to this constant imagery all the time of quite unsettling and shocking imagery.
How? I make sure I'm not saying I'm a parent of the year, but my baby's mom and me, we make sure that they're not watching things like that. You're making it like it's just... Okay, so what are you saying, Pierce? So because people don't know how to properly parent, like that's the... what the hell do you want?
What do you think of that theory? And
I think
that in itself was adding to a sense of everything's terrible.
Well, I think it's a corollary of an information...
Who the fuck is letting people watch the... Who the fuck's letting kids watch videos of people getting mauled by alligators?
Overload theory, right? I mean, one of the advantages to having the computational power
is wrong with
that
you?
Everything is at your fingertips. And the disadvantage is that everything's in your face. And by everything, it might be 40 million pornographic images. Like, that's a lot. Or an endless array of tragic scenarios. And really endless. And so that's a problem. And the fundamental problem is, how do you handle the fire hose of information? And no one really knows the answer to that. But we should also point out that it's no wonder that
Heads up, Disney and Comcast own Sky. That's interesting.
young people are demoralized and anxious because we're doing everything we can to
Yeah, what's with always blaming shit on porn?
demoralize them and make them anxious. So on the masculine front, we tell young boys that, well, the world's a terrible patriarchal tyranny, and all of that patriarchal tyranny, which is the whole explanation for history, has done nothing but oppress and exploit people and destroy the planet. And so that any manifestation of that masculine impulse on your part is equivalent to the world-destroying force.
Well, all masculine...
No, stop. Here we go. Phil is going to the Nostalgia Critic route and reacting to old commercials on an upcoming positive stream, playing games and rap.
Oh, we'll play games. We can definitely play games. Yes.
Masculinity now is branded toxic.
Yeah.
And I remember, I think the key moment for me came when Gillette, who'd always had these very masculine commercials with the big guy cuddling a baby or whatever it may be. They suddenly switched gears and did a campaign where it started with a lot of Me Too imagery and basically the assumption that all men are awful until they can prove otherwise. And
Where the fuck did they do that? Where?
predicted in a column this would be a complete disaster for them. And sure enough, $9 billion later, they did a screeching U-turn and went back to the big guy cuddling the babies. Because actually, two things I think about that. One, most men are not awful, actually. And secondly,
not all the time.
No, some men are, obviously. Some women are pretty awful. But not most of them. But if you try saying that and not getting cancelled. But I think also...
You just did.
So this thing that you've got into trouble about, which I don't understand.
I'll say it right now for you, Pierce. There's shitty men and women.
Why? That you believe that most women probably quite like their men to be strong and confident.
I don't believe that. All the data shows that clearly across cultural samples and has for 50 years. Plus, everyone knows it.
Anecdotally, most women I know, I think, would absolutely...
Masculinity and toxic masculinity are two different things. There's being confident in who you are just as a person, and then there's Andrew Tate. It's really simple.
Absolutely agree. Why is it that you've been so vilified for suggesting something which is so palpably true?
Well, I think first of all, that annoys narcissistic women no end. And it annoys people who think that there are no biological or cultural limits on how we manifest our behaviors. And also, it frightens a large number of women because many women have never had a good relationship with anyone masculine in their life. And so the notion that they would need to establish a trusting relationship with a man, especially if he's also in something approximating a superordinate position, which is what they might like to find him maximally attractive, also implies that they're in some sense going to be under his sway. And if there's no trust there, well, that's absolutely terrifying. And I have some sympathy for that because there are no shortage of women out there who've never had a positive relationship with anyone masculine. And so they're completely unable to discriminate between narcissistic power and compulsion and confident competence. And so because they can't distinguish that and they're afraid, they put all of that in the same category, which is something like the predator category.
Why are they zooming in on his hands?
And that's not good for them because, well,
yes, he's still pissed at Olivia Wilde.
as you said, all men aren't predators all the time. And they need to establish a relationship with a man.
Right. We're also in a very strange place where a lot of high-profile women will not say what they think a woman is.
Yeah.
Because they are... Ketanji Brown Jackson, the new member of the Supreme Court, in her nomination hearings was asked a question. This is what she said.
Can I provide a definition? No.
Yeah.
I can't.
You can't?
Not in this context.
So
I'm not a biologist.
It was a riveting moment because you're going to be on the Supreme Court of the United States of America. You're a woman. You're the first black woman on the court. And that in itself, I know you've...
Oh, Piers, you know how this shit works. If she said something black and white there, either way, there was no right answer she could have gave right there. She would have been ripped apart by the left or the right. She did the smart thing right there.
You've raised eyebrows about why did Joe Biden go out there and say we need to have a black woman? Why not just say we want the best person available and then if she's the best person, get her on the court, which I completely agree with. But for her not to be able to commit to explaining what she thinks a woman is. And then I had a moment on this show.
She has the accreditations to back it up, dude. Come on.
Where Macy Gray, the singer, did stick her neck out. And she said this.
I will say this, and everybody's going to hate me, but as a woman, just because you go change your parts doesn't make you a woman.
Right.
Sorry.
You feel that?
I know that for a fact. Like, if you want me to call you a her, I will.
Do you have scientific evidence to back that up, Macy Gray? Or are you just, hey, here's my opinion. If you're not born a woman, then you're not a woman. What are you basing it on? My feelings. Oh, man. Everyone's a fucking biologist and doctor and psychiatrist now. Oh, Black Bond, stop with that shit, dude. The human condition is way more complex than you or I even could begin to understand. Wait, you're into this Jordan Peterson shit?
Well, because that's what you want. But that doesn't make you a woman just because I call you a her and just because you got a surgery.
With chilling predictability, Macy Gray stuck to her guns for a couple of days, and then the onslaught was so overwhelming against her, she had to go on national television in America, issue a groveling apology for everyone that she'd hurt, with this statement of what many would think is just a statement of violence.
If you decide that, dude, there's a totally big... You're saying if you decide that you're white tomorrow doesn't mean that you're white? Really? There's a big difference between identifying... I can't identify as a metallic bird tomorrow. There's a big difference between identifying as a gender that there is evidence behind gender identity disorder than, you know what, I'm identifying as an iPhone 13 Pro Max tomorrow. Oh, come on, man.
A logical fact. How have we got...
It's like when my friend said, back in 2006, we should legalize gay marriage. She's like, we might as well just let people marry sheep then. I was like, no, that's actually interspecies. That's disgusting and should be illegal. Right.
To this place where women are terrified of saying what a woman is, and women who do say what they think it is, i.e. there are clear biological distinctions.
I'm sorry.
Between a man and a woman, they get destroyed.
Well, we've accepted this preposterous hypothesis that your identity is only subjectively defined. And as I've tried to point out on some of my lectures, the only people who think their identity is subjectively defined are 2-year-olds. And I mean that technically, because 2-year-olds are egocentric, which...
Generic white male. I'm not eating this cookie. I'm just going to go to the beach.
Means they can't bring their identity in alignment with a social norm, which also means that 2-year-olds can't play with other children. They can play beside them, but they can't play with them. That doesn't happen until you're 3. And what happens when you're 3, if you're reasonably...
You identify as a traffic light, also
well socialized or start to move towards that, is that you learn how to negotiate a social identity. And then identity becomes, obviously it has some roots in your subjectivity and in your biology for that matter, but a sophisticated identity is not only socially negotiated, as the constructivists know perfectly well, but it's got a dynamism about it because it has to be constantly renegotiated. Like, as we're having a conversation here, to some degree, we're renegotiating our mutual identities because we learn something from each other, and so we transform. We're also trying to figure out, to some degree, who each of us is in this situation, and then we're also trying to learn, can we play together towards some productive end? And you might ask, well, what do you mean play? And say, well, we're trying to have an interesting conversation.
Let's take another break. I want to come back and talk to you about the royal family in this country and the huge seismic moment in history we've just had. We'll talk to Jordan Peterson after the break again.
Yeah, I'm going to skip that. I really don't care about this.
Welcome back for my final part with Dr. Jordan.
Not only on the personal front, but there's also all the...
But the thing about it, too, is moving the science aside, if a person feels that if a man feels that they identify as a woman and they want to transition, what the fuck is it to you? Why do you care? They're not coming after your dick. Like, I don't understand that. I don't like, why? Oh, it's gonna like, here's the thing. I like titties, and nothing is gonna change that. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, what? So they're gonna come. They're gonna come after all of us and just round us up and chop off our dicks. Like, come on, man. Come on.
Pomp and ceremony, which is also archaic and unfashionable. That was all part of that you Brits managed so spectacularly. That was all. People are just dying for that beauty.
What I felt was, I felt like the country, before this happened, 2 weeks before it, felt like the whole country was in a shambolic
Thank you,
state.
Ian Fox.
Everything was going wrong in our country. And
what made
in
the
a
birds
way,
reap its iron?
the
Not
death
sure.
of the Queen unified us in a way we hadn't been for a long time.
Yeah.
Certainly since...
Yeah, I like how this chat is full of Nara who understand how the fetal brain development in utero works. Yeah, of course. And beyond the science, if someone wants to change their gender because they feel they are a different gender than what they are, if it is, what does it matter to you? What? Yeah, they don't want to learn. You don't think there was transgender people 50 years ago, 100 years ago? Of course there was.
Brexit. no one was talking about hot button political issues or social issues. They're all talking about one thing. I mean, it also reinforced our national identity.
Oh, yeah.
In a way that actually made the world look on with great awe about the procession, our military, our royal family.
Look at my fucking cock, Rich 2020. Yes, exactly.
The country. It made people feel good about Britain again.
Yeah.
And therefore made British people feel good about themselves again.
Yeah, well, you guys have lots to feel good about. And that's not the standard mantra of the modern world. You know, this is an unbelievably admirable country for all its flaws.
I know.
And so,
what do you find admirable about us?
English common law. The
bird told I'm not. There's no hole to fist a bird with, but you get a cluck.
Tradition of free speech, sardonic and self-effacing humor that's so much a part of the culture.
Our ability to queue for 13 hours to
politely
see a woman lying in state who's not even a member of our family.
Right. Well, and to do
resilience,
well, and to do that peacefully, and to do that in a spirit of mutual goodwill, and come to a place like London. It's
I think a deadly cancer.
Yeah, and my daughter was sick, and so was I. So yeah. So it's very difficult to regulate your temper properly.
Not that I'm knocking the Queen, but Jordan Peterson's take on the Queen, I could give negative shits about.
Under those circumstances, let's say. And so, tone?
Did they change your mind?
They changed my approach. You know, because one of the things I decided was...
It's a metal bird. I'll come out with a bloody hand.
I would try to be equally judicious in my words, but that I would use a calmer and more measured tone. And I don't mean use instrumental.
And yeah, I appreciate you understanding the ad. I had it was today was the day it was due. They were very patient with me, and I made the choice with that because it was the longest video and it was a fairly long ad, and I thought it was the best place to put it. And like I said, I wasn't apologizing for, you know, being an arsonist. I was apologizing for oopsie reviews, you know.
I mean that
because I was using a drone today and I needed to remove it, Abby, to fit it in the controller. Well, Jeremy, I'm sorry. I guess you're not busting tonight, bro. Yeah, match.
That I would attempt to make the effort to take as much unnecessary emotion out of the statement as possible. And so I started to do that in some of my more recent videos. I mean, I tried to do that before. I think part of the reason that my interview with Kathy Newman went well was because I kept my head.
Yeah.
And I didn't get irritated. I had a
I mean, she's a good friend of mine, and I watched it with great interest because I felt like you...
You know, I think that I liked your tone when you were more aggressive, especially on issues like this. But by and large, it had all... It worked even better because I could be careful in what I was discriminating. And then to ally that with calmness actually made it more potent.
Studio before. So he just said to me, I said, give me some advice. You know, you love Jordan Peterson. What's the advice for the interview? He said, just listen more than you normally do. So I've tried hard to ask a question and let you answer.
Right.
And so I'm work in progress. And I've been interviewing people for 35 years. But I do think the listening, as I've got older, I felt the same thing.
Congratulations. Go take a big shit.
I love Hulk Hogan's dick.
That's a real skill, man.
Listening is a powerful tool, actually.
Oh, yeah. Well, there is nothing that people like more and need more than to be listened to. You know, and that's partly why the left clamors all.
The irony of saying there's nothing more than people want to be listened to. And that's why the left, like everyone, well, no, Quantum TV should not be listened to. Never mind.
All the time. You know, it says, look, there's all these people who aren't being listened to. It's like, there are a lot of people who aren't being listened to. They're absolutely right. There's no doubt about that. And I've dealt with people who were extraordinarily marginalized, so to speak, in my clinical practice. And some of those people, to straighten out their minds, they need like 10,000 hours of listening. Because no one, and I mean this literally, I've had people in my clinical practice, no one ever listened to them their whole life.
Yeah.
And so when they start talking, they're all over the place. They're disorganized. They're
Imagine how a gay or transgender person feels, Jordan. I wonder how he handled them when they came into his. I'm sure he had to deal with them in his practice.
hyper emotional.
Having met me now for an hour, what would your initial clinical diagnosis be?
Well, you're probably optimally disagreeable for your profession, you know, because you can listen, but you're also not a pushover. And that's a very fine line, right? Because if you're too assertive or aggressive, then you get domineering. But if you're not enough, then you're a pushover. And and this was also the case with Kathy Newman. She's quite disagreeable, and that's a masculine trait, by the way. And it was one of the things.
Well, I think she'd gone
to
into
her.
it in a way. So how we started the interview, she'd gone into it, I think, with a preconceived idea of what you would be like, and sort of stuck to that.
Yeah.
She's actually a very skillful journalist and interviewer, and I was surprised the way that interview went when I was watching it.
From the people I knew who were trans, it was either transition or die. Yeah, it can be that bad. Social unexceptions. It's a really simple thing that you don't even need to have science and medicine for. You are doing something that you know is still in 2022 shunned upon heavily in society. But you do it anyway for attention? No, of course not. You don't just snap your fucking finger, hey, I'm going to do something that I know I'll probably get me ostracized by my family, that people will look at me and can't stand me. Once they find out that I'm transgender, they may look at me differently at my job, relation. Like, it's not something you do. It's like, the weather, the wind's blowing in a different direction today. I'm a woman. That's how a lot of these fucking people think. It's a decision that is made that you have to go through. It has to be greenlit by doctors and psychiatrists. Like, it's not just something you do and it's like, oh, okay, today I'm a woman. What's poppin', motherfucker? Let's see them nipples, man. You know the deal, man. You know what I'm saying?
And I think it was because she just had an idea of what she thought you would be.
Well, I think she also had an outcome.
Well, the best is that Alex Jones got caught with transgender porn on his phone, and he said that someone, like the Deep State or something, put it on there. Like, yeah, okay, dude. Sister has cup with pictures of breasts. What? Your sister makes me nervous, Abby, and I don't even fucking know her. Yeah, that's real shit. When they were they did the top angle camera on Alex and you saw his phone and there was transgender porn on there. It's like, the elites put that porn on there. I'm like, yeah, were the elites beating your cock too as you were watching the transgender porn, Alex? It was because of the elites I was looking at this transgender porn and got a throbbing erection and jerked off. Thanks to male vitality pills. Oh, fuck me, man.
An idea of what the optimal outcome of the interview might be. And
I need to get a credible doctor on to explain everything about transgender, so I understand more, and so my audience understands more, and I'm interested to learn more. Okay, thank you, Abby.
I think a lot of the journalists who've gone after me in some sense have that. They think, there's part of them that thinks, I'll be the person that finally exposes him for what he is.
Yeah.
But then they find out that I'm not who they thought that I am, or at least I'm not quite as demonic as...
Well, Max, if you have information, you can get me a credible medical professional. If my ass is a credible doctor, man, you know what I'm saying?
They thought I might.
Are you doing super chats for me to inadvertently bring Sexy Coco back? You think I'm fucking stupid. Yeah, but with his very biased takes, how good of a psychologist can he truly be? He may have the accreditations, if I'm saying the wrong word, I'm sorry, and the know-how and education. But if his biases get in the way, it makes me question how well he can do his job.
Well, Professor...
I mean, now he's just a fucking grifter. But
Stephen Hawking, before he died, gave me his last television interview, and he said that the biggest threat to the future of mankind was when artificial intelligence learned to self-design. What do you think the biggest threat?
Yo, this may be video worthy. They're literally like James Earl Jones. They have AI about doing his voice for Star Wars. And they're using the likeness and voice because there's some illness that I can't think of his name now. Bruce Willis has. So they have the tech to use deepfake to still use Bruce Willis and still use his voice. Like, nothing's safe from machine learning. Like, you're not even going to have actors anymore. Or musicians. It's getting fucking weird, dude.
Narcissistic compassion. Now AIs, you know, it's a threat too, but if we had our act together ethically.
Yeah, James Earl Jones is GOAT. He's one of the greatest actors of all time.
It's possible that AI could become a useful servant rather than a tyrannical master. You don't want to automate your tyrannical masters. And that's the danger. That's one of the dangers of AI.
I've got to wrap it up. I don't want
Artificial intelligence.
but I have to. I want to ask you just quick.
Cosmic Productions, thank you. Critical. Actually, I really like that one. Critical Hit. That's dope. I said dope at 41 again.
Film director Olivia Wilde has a new movie out, which she's.
Sorry, I missed your super
This
chat.
is based on you, this insane man.
Here we go. Here we go. Everyone said that I took this part out of context. Every motherfucker. So let's go. Yeah, but 4 DSPs that I will give you. Here we go. Now, everyone said I took this out of context and hated me and said they were unsubbing to me and that I was the worst person in the world. Here we go.
Intellectual hero to the incel community. Incel being these weirdo loner men who are despicable in many ways. Is that you? Are you the intellectual hero?
He just said they're despicable. That was pretty... Go Piers. Like, it's weird. He went from, like, being softball. Now it's like... Oh, yeah, I had a softball interview with you for 40 of the 45 minutes. Now I'm just going to whip out my battle axe and just slam it on the table.
Hero to these people?
Sure. Why not? You know, people have been after me for a long time because I've been speaking to disaffected young men. You know, what a terrible thing to do that is.
Why don't you speak to the disaffected LGBTQ community? Why are you speaking to undersexed men who have problems getting laid? Oh no, those poor babies. Man, I've been through incel points in my life. I know that's shocking. But even every dude has, man. I've known dudes who are... Don't even use me in as example. I know dudes who have big cocks and washboard abs who go through dry spells. Like, I get it, but I don't blame other people for it. You know what I mean?
I thought the marginalized were supposed to have a voice.
How do you say that unironically? Or what did I miss? To everyone out there who got so fucking ass hurt on Twitter, what did I miss? I watched the whole interview of him fucking talking about the Queen and some soccer player that I don't know. I watched the whole thing. I'll let him finish. Maybe there's something else here. Maybe there's something else here that I'm missing that will blow my mind.
It's making you emotional. Talk about that.
Well, God, you know.
Why did they do? Why that camera angle? Why? Let's go. This is like. This is set up. This has to be set up. If it's not, it's bizarre.
It's very difficult to understand how demoralized people are.
Why is this man always fucking crying? I've met women going through menopause that cry less than this dude. Would you want this motherfucker who's crying all the time to be your psychologist? Like, all of the shit aside, all of the politics and talking about LGBTQ rights aside, this motherfucker cries like women on their period. God, I sound really sexist right now, but what? All right, all right. Yo, because he likes to cater to the... Who do you think... People... Dude, I know people in real life, I'm thinking of them now. I won't name them. That want to blame the rest of the world for their problems. They love to hear that it's not their... There are more people that want to hear it's not their fault than being like, you know what? I fucked up. It's my fault. That's why I try to hold myself accountable. Sometimes there may be a sponsorship in there. Leon, this made me think of RTU. Someone's using cucumbers on a drum set. Shout out to Liana Kersner for sending me that.
And certainly many young men are in that category. And you get these casual insults, these incels. What does it mean? It's like, well, these...
What about the increased suicide rates of transgender people? Why aren't you crying for this? That's what pisses me. This guy's a piece... He's a hypocritical piece of shit.
Men, they don't know how to make themselves attractive to women who are very picky, and good for them. Women, like, be picky. That's your gift, man.
So what are you going to teach him?
Demand high standards from your men. Fair enough. But all these men who are alienated, it's like they're lonesome and they don't know what to do, and everyone piles abuse on them.
When she said that, Olivia Wilde, it stung you, didn't it? That's all the
Oh,
reaction.
by that time, you know, that as far as critiques go, that was kind of low level. I mean, once I got painted as Red Skull, you know, magical super Nazi, that was kind of the end of the insults. There's no place past that.
Yeah, now you're on Tucker Carlson's network making bank. Shut the fuck up. That's why you're more emboldened to do this shit now.
So when Olivia Wilde made those comments, the first thing I did was go look at the preview for a movie, which I quite liked. I thought I would go see that movie probably, and perhaps I will. It didn't really bother me. My family and I talked about it right away, and we were able to respond to it with some degree of humor, which then people completely misunderstood. I said I hope that, you know, that if I had to be played by someone...
All right, is there anything... I'm bored. Everyone told me that I was taking it a clip out of context. It's amazing how the tears dried up real quick, too. Man, he could turn those waterworks on and off. Maybe it was that Xanax addiction of his... Like, what did I sat through the board to all the fucking Jordan Peterson bros out there. I sat through the whole fucking interview. This bored ass talking about the Queen and whatever else it was. And Piers Morgan being on the brink of literally rimming this man's asshole. What did I miss? What the fuck did I miss? Could you tell me? Is there some magical... You know what? Just so they shut up, I'm going to watch the last 3 minutes. I'm going to watch them with Oblivion music.
He's a very good-looking man, and so that seems all right, you know. And then I said something like, I hope he gets my fashion style choice right when he plays me. And it was a joke. All that was
riveting.
a joke.
I mean,
fucking
you've
riveting.
Been so controlled today, and yet in that brief moment, you got very emotional. Why?
It's really something to...
Because the men who can't get laid are the ones that pay my bills. It's that simple. It's really that simple. It's not hard. Excuse me.
You see...
Wait, he's crying again? He's crying again? He's crying again. He's fucking crying again. Oh my god. Oh my god. And people were mad I had an ad in my video today. He's crying again. I'm gonna start crying. I'm gonna start crying. That's it. I know how to become a millionaire. I'm gonna start crying. The incels are marginalized, and I'm sorry. That's it. I'm just gonna shed tears every day. Cha-ching! Bro, he's crying again. He's crying again. He's crying again. This is worse! This is worse! People were defending this. And it's worse than the clip. The clip actually made him look better. The clip made him look better. Holy shit.
Constantly. How many people are dying for lack of an encouraging word?
Yeah. The LGBTQ community could use those encouraging words too. Where are your tears for them? Where are your tears for all the other marginalized groups? Where are those tears? Except these fucking fake crocodile ones. I can't stand this shit, man.
And how easy it is to provide that if you're careful.
I'm getting sad, so I'm gonna sound like Kermit the Frog. When I think about men chronically masturbating, tears come to my eyes. When I think about men whose taints smell like Cheetos, and then when they try to go hit on a woman and wonder why they walk away from them screaming, I'm so sad. Fuck you. Fuck you.
Where credit is due. And to say...
He cried twice.
You're a net force for good if you want to be.
Do you believe you're a net force for good?
Net? Yes. In all the details? Probably not. You know, no one's...
What?
It's perfect. So, people make their mistakes as they stumble uphill.
Jordan, it's been a fascinating interview.
Oh, yeah, it's been fascinating.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You've got this new box set out.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy about that.
Jordan B. Peterson, 24 Rules for Life and Beyond Order. Fascinating.
That's what it's about. I mean, of course, look, man, business is business. I get it. But that act that he's incorporating, the emotions will make more of those books sold. It's the same grift as other people use, too. It's incredible, man.
Fascinating books. They've sold how many millions now?
Well, 12 Rules sold 7, and I think Beyond Order is approaching 1 million now. So, yeah, they're doing just fine.
Did you ever think you'd sell that number of books?
I never thought any of this would happen, you know. I mean, so... Yeah, I knew when I was teaching at Harvard and at the University of Toronto that some of the things I was teaching were revolutionary. I was surprised that I got away with it, let's say, as long as I did. And so there's a way in which it doesn't surprise me. And I wouldn't say that's because of the brilliance of my ideas. It's because I'm good at...
Yeah, you nailed it right there. Validating men's emotions and feelings, which they should be. The whole thing with men should toughen up, I don't agree with either. Men should be able to show their feelings. and invalidating LGBT and women's emotions and feelings, and that's what Peterson does. I agree. What was in this interview what went over my head with that part? What did I take out of context with that?
Communicating ideas, but the ideas that I've been developing, they're ancient ideas. They're the oldest ideas we have in some real sense. So they have a power.
Right, absolutely. And just finally, you're healthy, you look healthy.
Pretty good.
And
much better.
Your wife's doing a lot better than she was?
She's back better than she was before even, and my daughter's not ill either, so fancy that.
I mean, that's an amazing turnaround.
All right, now they're just going to suck each other's cocks now for another 3 seconds. Okay. And he desperately wants to see Pierce's breast. Dude. Oh, man. All right, let's find out what's going on with DSP. We'll watch duty streams. Yo, man. What did I miss there? Everyone was saying that there was not a fucking thing that I missed. Like, even if you love Jordan Peterson, I know there's some of you here that do. He talked about men who are disenfranchised and sexually frustrated and started to cry, right? Right? Okay. I didn't miss the context. Thank you.
Reported me, and they're tired of getting false reports. Yeah, because why else would it be a 404, right? Let me see if they emailed me anything. Well, the good news is I've already looked into alternatives. It just sucks that I have to set them up.
Why do people do this shit? Why do, like... I mean, it's Phil. Yeah, he can be annoying, but he's harmless. He's like a fart that smells really bad. It's interesting to talk about. It bothers you for a minute, and then you get over it.
I literally got a tip not even 20 minutes ago.
I saw like multiple things of music playing. Yeah, what's with the raid effects?
You know, it's very tiring. It is. I'm tired of this shit. Because now I got to set it all up different again. I have to change the links everywhere. I have to change, like, the description of all my videos now has the wrong link, right? Now, what did I do? Exactly what did I do? Right? Did I make it?
This is what annoys me about these companies, too. Like, you know that people can do this shit. Why punish the creator for the stupidity? Like, well, I don't want to deal with it. There's too many people annoying. It's so bizarre. It happens on other platforms, too.
Any harmful content? Did I? Let's be honest here. Did I do anything wrong?
Like, imagine at your... maybe a slightly extreme example, but it's the only one I could think of right now. Like, imagine you had a stalker at your job that, like, you know, like was outside the office window every day in his car, in his or her car, and you got fired because of this. Like, it's not your fault they're fucking stalking you. You know what I mean?
Wrong? No, I got people false reporting me and attacking me for things I did 13 years ago. I rightfully call them out for it and say this is messed up that people would do this to me.
Yeah. Like, man, I said stupid shit in the past before, too. However, the slave trade thing he did say, like, a few weeks ago. He did say that, like, a few weeks ago. And
they stalk me like this, and they need help. Somehow, this is a violation of terms of service or something. And by the way, I have nothing. I'm looking. I have absolutely no notification at all from StreamLabs about this. Let me see here.
Well, people get laid off and shit, but you don't usually, at 99.9% of the time, get laid off or fired for the bad actions of someone else. This mix of music.
I have no announcement. I'm looking here. No announcements. Okay. No email. Because I checked my email. No emails about it. No announcements in Stream Elements. I'm in Stream Elements literally right now. And nothing. So you tell me what's going on.
Is this like on Snorpernell layer where I can watch it without 600 layers of music? I'm trying to see if someone, like, shout out to Duty Streams. I'm cool with him, but let me see if I can't picture Snorpernell not being all over this. Really? He's not. Huh.
Right? I have no idea.
The original is not there. Or where's the original? I looked and it's not there. Exactly. Are you talking about Phil, or actually could apply to both Phil and Jordan Peterson? If you really think about it. His beard isn't like, it's just weird. It just changes.
I'm just so tired of this shit. What did I do? Nothing. And here's the real problem, okay? This is really the real problem. Guess what? All they're doing, if this is something that they did to screw me over, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, the trolls kept false reporting Phil, so we'll shut down his tips page. Okay? All they're doing is enabling the trolls to do worse things. Seriously.
He's 100% right about that. I hate when sponsors have done that to me before in the past. And look, if a sponsor, sponsors come and go. I'm not talking about that. Like, I had a sponsor publicly, they went after it, made a statement publicly. I won't name them. And I was like, fuck you. Talk about enabling the trolls. Shit happens behind the scenes. Look, I get it. Sponsors, they can do what they want to. They come and go. It happens to all creators. But to make a public announcement, you're lucky I'm a professional that farts into a microphone and kisses birds, or I call them out now.
Right? That's all they're doing. All they're doing is enabling the trolls to do worse and worse and worse. It's escalating further and further. Why would you do that? Right? So now the question is, what do I do? How do I even...
But the thing is, Phil, is what both sponsors and StreamLabs are saying is that we don't care. It's now your problem. But he's right. He's 100% right. That it does enable the sponsors, but here's the thing: they only care about their bottom line. If they think that something you did will hurt their bottom line, even if the trolls are just being assholes, sucks for you.
Contact them about it, right? I have no idea.
See, Phil, it's not that I'm bipolar. It's sometimes you make sense, sometimes you do dumb shit. It's not that I'm bipolar. I just tell it like it is.
I don't know. I've never had the issue with Stream Elements, so I don't know how you contact them about it. Like I said, I just refreshed here. There's absolutely no information about it at all. I didn't get a message about it. Just my tips page is now a 404 error. Gee, thanks.
Yeah, I bet you that's it, Shadowblade. Trolls did it because they did a victory lap. But I just don't get it. Like, to the trolls, especially the ones that are making content on this guy, like, why would you want Phil to go away? Why would you want him, like, what do you gain? One, don't you find his crazy antics entertaining? I sure as fuck do. Like, him going away, what would that do for you? You wouldn't get the content anymore. So that part I don't understand. And secondly, like, Phil is where you feel you should put this energy into? Like, he's that bad of a person? I'm not going to repeat myself again. I know I said this like 7 other times earlier on the stream, but okay. Like, yeah, the streaming is... Like, yeah, oh, I need tips for the next day, which is probably why he's freaking out right now.
Earlier this week, I'm not happy because of the next hour we need to talk about something that's really, really stupid, and I wish I never had to talk about it. But this is completely intrusive to my business. It's disruptive, and it's very dangerous because, you know, as you guys know, I make a living live streaming, and crowdfunding is my main source of income. As I've told you guys, ever since I started becoming a full-time streamer on YouTube rather than Twitch, I lost a lot of income, and I've been trying to make that back up.
You've always been losing income, Phil. What's up, MIT Mom? How are you?
Last month, I lost $1,000 of income because of false copyright strikes on YouTube that got removed, but I lost a bunch of support because of it. So here I am in a situation where absolutely everything is important to me. I need like every piece of everything that could possibly come in when it comes.
Yeah, oh no. I mean, but look, I kind of... The problem is it's a multi-layered problem with Phil. This is not okay. I don't understand why people do this. Especially, like, a lot of people love to watch this guy. Mexican pizza, that sounds really good. So why do you want to see him gone? It's just bizarre. It just makes no sense.
Comes to support, all right? And on my day off...
And, like, why do you want to destroy his livelihood? Look, it ain't... Like I always say, just don't watch the motherfucker.
2 days ago, I get a bunch of tweets from someone who's false reporting me to Stream Elements. For those who don't know, for the last year and a half, I've been getting tips through a service called Stream Elements, and this allows those tips to be recorded and tracked, and then gives a pop-up here on the stream when someone tips me, okay? It's a way of saying thank you for the tips, have a nice animation. Before I used Stream Elements, I used a company called StreamLabs, alright? And StreamLabs actually was the company that I was using for everything, for cheers, subs over on Twitch, as well as tips. But all of a sudden one day, people start telling me that basically StreamLabs isn't working anymore. What
Got bacon soda with bug pizza? Are you serious?
do you mean? The link, when we click on it, is like a dead page. Huh? So I look into it, and there's nothing to explain what's going on. I didn't get any email, I didn't get a message, nothing. It's just...
That's so amazing that these companies do
the
that.
page doesn't exist anymore. So I'm like, well, I need to tips every day. I tell you guys, tips are the most important income I can really get, because tips are what pay for the daily things around here. They allow me to pay my bills on a weekly basis. They allow me to pay for groceries, for meals for my family. Like, that's what tips pay for.
But Phil, like, why am I even going to say the speech again? It's not how to run a business, Phil. That's all I'm
So tips
saying.
are incredibly important that I can get these, okay?
Hand to mouth is not it.
I wish
kid.
that wasn't the case. I wish that I made enough just on YouTube.
What's
for
up,
YouTube
Jim
ad
Will? How are
revenue
you?
and contributions such as memberships and super chats. It's not the case. I need tips. Very, very important. All right, for me. So it is what it is. That's the life I lead. Basically, is every day I stream. You guys support in definitely different ways. Okay. Or a Meshi, I can't.
If that's actually true, and I'm not saying it's not, I'm not saying it is, that's an awful way to live. Like, I couldn't imagine doing, like, specifically this and being like, man, if I don't get this amount of money from StreamLabs today, I'm fucked. We've seen streams with that sound. Yeah, from 2016, from 2017, like, in 2017, Phil would be saying, oh, 2016 was a great year, but 2017 is rough. Phil, in 2018, 2017 was a great year, but 2018, like, like that's his that's his spiel to sell. And that, I wish I could make him understand that's part of the problem. This is why you deal with the trolling, because people think that's ridiculous. Should they troll you like this? No, if they don't want to hear you beg, they just shouldn't tune in. Yeah, so he doesn't get super chats because he pushes for tips. How is this man this dense? Was he raised drinking leaded gas? Well, he's pushed people, Gary, towards the tips because he wants the money right away. Okay? I bet you he regrets that decision now because he would have been more insulated on YouTube. And all right, like, I don't care how, like, I have a StreamLabs, but I appreciate however I get support, man. I don't care if you want to do StreamLabs, do StreamLabs. You want to do YouTube. Whatever money comes in, that's my thing. That ain't my audience's thing. You owe me nothing. However you want to support the show, you support it. So that's another reason. So you steered all those people towards Stream Elements, Phil. Probably should have thought that through in case some idiot did something like this. Scream Philip Brunel's name at the top of your lungs. I want to hear you from the other side of the globe. I can't scream because I have children here, but I could do one better. Phil is a fapping man. I think that was actually entertaining. All right, boys, prepare for this. Yeah, we're selling it. Like, he said that like weeks ago. What the fuck was he thinking? Denise, how you doing tonight? Maybe I said hello to you before. If I did, hello again.
Can't look at any links don't work here in the chat, just so you know. Okay, anyway. So all of a sudden, StreamLabs, a year and a half ago, stops accepting tips from me. My page doesn't exist. So I contact them, and I get nothing. And then I never really told you guys this. Eventually, they did respond, because I asked them several times over the course of last year, and I got a response from someone who said, I'm not even kidding, here's what they said. Oh, our apologies that you never received any notice of why your StreamLabs was suspended, but it was suspended because you were mass
Yes, and he has stroked it on stream in 2016.
reported, and, you know, violations of our terms of service and yada. And I went back to them and I said, I didn't, you know, violate your terms of service. I don't know what you're talking about. Can you...
And look, what he said back during Left 4 Dead 1 was really bad. Like, he was saying, I hate the Jews. Like, he has such an awful sense of humor. Like, that's why he can't be funny at all. Because he knew if he... Well, he just did it a couple weeks ago. If he tried to be funny again, he'd be talking about the slave trade. That was another time. That was on Blip TV that he brought up the fucking Jews again. He did it twice. But however, it was a very long time ago. You know, Kim Will, what the hell are you talking about? I have a bias against men? The hell are you on? How do I have a bias against men? I am a man. And I love titties. There was that too. Like, dude, he has the humor of like... Still to this day, unfortunately, just proved it a few weeks ago of like a racist 11-year-old.
You provide...
Don't time her out. Don't time her out. Why was she timed out?
Any evidence?
Let her speak.
Nothing. They ghosted me. So literally, StreamLabs did exactly the same as what Twitch did. When Twitch last year kicked me out of their partner program and said, oh, well, we're kicking out of you because we did research and found hateful speech. And I said, well, provide evidence, because I don't know what you're talking about. I can't improve if I don't know what I did wrong. And quite frankly, legally, if you're going to terminate an agreement I have with you in your partner program, you need to have evidence to prove.
They proved that that's not true with Dr. Disrespect.
Prove the fact that I did something wrong.
If Dr. Disrespect ain't getting answers from you, you and I sure would never get answers, Phil. That's for shit sure.
They also ghosted me. I never provided any evidence, just ignored me from then on. Okay? So there's a running...
Yeah, I don't get, like, sometimes I want to see what people have to say, even if I don't agree with them. You know what I mean? Not sometimes, unless it's something absolutely insane. Or if someone's, like, for months upon months upon months, and even still there's people that troll me and I don't block them. Who was that one I blocked the other day? That's how rare I block people. I could actually think of the person. Where he, like, wasn't it like, I don't want to name him because if it's the wrong person. But I was like, all right, dude, after like months upon months, yeah, Cosmic Productions, Mad Mox. If it's like months upon months upon months of you just being a dick, it's like, all right, you got to go. But that's an exception. Rich, I'm perplexed. You complain about your birds on set not doing the job. I made you Phil Bird for your desk back, but you don't like him. I changed his art style. I worked hard for him. What do you mean? Phil Bird? Yeah, he's like a 13-year-old on Xbox Live.
Pattern with these companies. Now, a year and a half ago, when that happened with StreamLabs, okay, I actually...
Chest hair elixir toy too, huh? I don't even know. That's like... that would sound like something that would be from like 1910. You would see in a Sears catalog.
Contacted Stream Elements ahead of time. Okay? And I explained to them the situation. I said, just so you know, I've been getting mass reported on other services. Like I told them, StreamLabs. And because of that, you know, they falsely shut me down. All right? I urge you to do research yourself. But I tell...
Carlos was a bird with breasts. And thank you, Rob, for being a member for 7 months. I genuinely do appreciate that.
I don't do anything hateful or anything that would violate terms of service on my streams. So...
He did tell an 11-year-old girl I would have smacked the shit out of her if I saw it. He did say that. It's on stream. He did say it. I mean, do I think it's a big deal and he should have been permabanned off there? No. But he did say it. Yeah, thank you on 1. I think I'm going to be staying exactly at 1 million for the rest of my YouTube career. Thank you, though, Mark McCauley. Sub growth goes up. I say something that may piss off some people, goes back down. Like, for example, today, people weren't happy I had an ad. Because it was an apology video. Welcome to YouTube. What did it... But I always look at it this way. What did Stephanie Sterling... What did they lose? Like 200,000 subs? Didn't change the viewership.
I want to start using your service, but I want to make sure that everything there is okay. And I kid you not, Stream Elements responded to me and said, hey, just so you know, we don't falsely, punish anyone. We fully flesh out any reports we get, and you don't have to worry about that. As long as you're really okay, then don't worry about it. You'll be fine. So I signed up with Stream Elements. Here we are. 1.5 years I've been using them. Never a problem. Okay, never a problem. Now, the thing is, I know that I get falsely reported all the time. All right?
But it's
just
not
so
a...
happy.
But, dude, okay. First off, I explained the thing where it was time sensitive and the ad had to go up. Okay? Secondly, it wasn't like I was apologizing for, fisting a horse at a gas station. I was apologizing for an oopsie with my interviews. It wasn't like oh my God, I mean, I did. I failed my audience by not doing a good interview, but it wasn't like a end of the world apology. And out of the videos I had today, that video was the longest, so the ad would have fit in that more. So, I apologize for a lot of shit that I'm not going to apologize for.
That there was a person who false reported me, okay, during my day off 2 days ago. And they did it on Twitter via the Stream Element S account, which is their Stream Element support account. And they literally linked to something from 13 years ago. I wish I could make this up, but they linked to a video of me playing Left 4 Dead 1 13 years ago. Okay? That's just insane. They're actually saying that I'm going to be canceled today for someone who I was 13 years ago. Even though I've...
They did it with that Teen Vogue new head editor. She was, 29? Said something at 17 years old? Yeah, it was racist, but she was fucking 17. Now, granted, I heard she was kind of cancel culture happy herself, so karma's a bitch, but at the same time, got fired for something she said when she was literally a kid. Welcome to the new age. This is where I agree with some people who are anti-cancel culture, but the problem is those people that are anti-cancel culture, if they don't like you, they'll want to cancel you, so they're hypocritical pieces of shit.
Actively come out so many times over the years apologizing for the things I said and did in my early days on YouTube. I totally understand now how wrong those things were, and I told you guys repeatedly what the deal was with that. Okay, that it was bad. I've changed. My content today is very different, So please forgive me, and I promise I won't do that stuff anymore, right? And if you take a look, in the last 5 years, I've been a full-time streamer. Am I perfect? No. Every once in a while, I get angry, and I'll say something wrong.
Well, dude, I said stupid shit at 30 that I would never say now. I'm going to probably say stupid shit at 41. I won't say at 45. You know what I'm saying?
The funny part is the things that people say, oh, it's
we're all
offensive or
human.
whatever. It's
Now,
not.
again, context is key, depending on what you say, but you get my point.
Like, dark humor is not offensive and cancelable. It's just dark. If I'm making a joke in a place...
Phil, what was the dark humor about? Yes, it was a long time ago, Phil, and I agree that was ridiculous. As stupid and terrible as it was what you said. 13 years, you got to dig? Come on now. But let's hear how he explains it as dark humor. I recognize today's ad from John Cameo. I'm not sure what you mean, bro.
Through recently,
Devin,
about children being kidnapped and sold into slavery by corrupt cops. It's a joke. It's not meant to be real. It's a dark joke. There's nothing wrong with that. It's dark humor. Maybe you think it's not funny, but that's not something that's wrong.
Phil, there was no impetus to bring that up. Don't double down on that one, Phil. Don't double down on that one, Phil.
Offensive or cancelable. It's just a dark joke, okay? Doesn't mean, because I'm joking about it happening. The villains of the game are doing heinous things. I make a joke about something else heinous they could be doing. Doesn't mean I support child slavery. You're an idiot if you believe that.
No one's saying that you supported child slavery, but you made a racist joke about the slave trade with a little black girl. Why the hell would you think that would go over well? Why would you? Jesus fucking Christ.
That. But this is what it is. These idiots, what they do is they actually will do that, right? They'll actually say, oh, you know, Phil meant it, and this is what, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's emphasis on dark humor. And it's not something that I even do all the time, and every once in a while I'm going to make jokes like that.
You can't, Phil, because like I said, this is why Phil can't be funny at all, and he's like a disgruntled substitute teacher with his streams, because he would instantly go back to that humor, because that's the only humor he knows. So if Phil wanted to be funny Phil, he would go back to being a 12-year-old on Modern Warfare 2 in 2009.
You know, no one has a problem with it. I've been on YouTube 14 years. Even the things I said 13 plus years ago, right? All they do is they flag the video and say, oh, it's an adult rated video or whatever. They're not going to ban me from YouTube for dark humor and things that I did 13 years ago. And certainly nothing that I've done recently has been deemed as...
Yeah, it's Phil. You went the wrong route with that, dude. And the thing is now, if you apologize, it looks like you're going to apologize just because of pressure.
anything wrong either.
He should just move on, not bring it up again. It was a bad take. The way he handled it was a bad take. Just step away, Phil. Like I'm going to step away from this desk and take a piss. That was a great segue. I like cows. You know what? I don't know why this made me think. There's some weird thing where there's like a farm, a dairy farm that has like super rotten milk, and it smells horrible, and they're afraid it's going to pollute the ground. I don't understand it, but it was hard. It was like red with like white chunk. Oh God, why am I bringing this up? Let's just continue watching Phil for the other 2 minutes.
Because I purposely go out of my way.
Thank you for being a member for 9 months, too. Damn.
To make sure that there's nothing wrong with what I'm saying and doing on my streams. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing it on purpose. I'm literally, I think differently now. I don't think that way anymore like I used to. I used to always think, what's the most risque joke? What's the most offensive thing? I don't do that anymore. Okay? So, why am I making this video? Why am I streaming this right now? Why am I talking to all of you? So 2 days ago, this person false reports me to Stream Elements.
Bro, I'll show you the fucking video. Let me find it. If you think I'm playing. We'll go back to this. I'm not stopping the Phil video. I'm not that ADHD, but milk. At farm causing how do you... Yeah, here it is. We'll watch it in a minute.
With changing seasons.
I'm going to change your seasons. All right. I'll put it here. Not safe for work. Warning, it's fucking disgusting. If you have a queasy stomach and you don't handle this shit well, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'm just warning you now.
Saying, oh, do you want this person in your program? Here's some.
As a message to your Twitter stream announcement, this one 9:30. Okay. Send me a link on Twitter DMs too, because I'll miss it. Yes, if you can get some Phil sounds, a whole bunch of them.
You got my nipples up in a tissy. Oh. Wash your balls. Oh. Cucumbers.
Man, I got a lot of Phil sounds.
Yeah. Oh, we'll play games. We can definitely play games. I'm never blowing bubbles ever again.
All right, maybe I have a Phil addiction.
They did. And I responded, that was a video from 13 years ago. Yikes. Okay? I talked about it on yesterday's podcast. Okay? I said, this is ludicrous that people think that this is like acceptable or even normal behavior. A normal person, does not obsess about a content creator so much that they go back in time 13 years ago into their old videos.
I mean, this party's right about.
Find a specific one out of the thousands upon thousands upon thousands of videos that have been uploaded to find something they think that in the modern...
Blackbot, I guess, is angry on my take on Jordan Peterson. Oh, well. We could agree to disagree, Blackbot. I still love you.
day would be not kosher, cancelable, whatever you want to say, and then trying to report them to a payment processing service. It's not even, that's what it is. It's basically a pop-up message service, you know what I'm saying, like alerts for contributions or whatever, and say, oh, do you want this person using your service because this is what they said 13 years ago. That's not normal behavior. That is...
Yeah, and he's right. It's strange. It's weird. And on top of it, too, like, Phil provides endless hours of content. Why would you want... First off, I don't want to see that. However you feel about him, whatever you think he's doing with the money, look, the people... I'm sure many of the people that support him know all the shit about him. They're still making the choice to support him. That's their choice. But he's endless hours of entertainment, and this is his livelihood, man. Like I said, there's people far fucking worse on YouTube. If you really want to help society, that look, I don't think you should troll anybody. Let me make that abundantly clear. But if you're going to, there's much more toxic people out there than Phil. In spades.
Is the behavior of someone who's manic, someone who has something wrong up here. They're obsessed to the point of, you know, doing this crazy behavior. And yes, this is not me hating on someone. This is factual, all right? You do not behave like that if you don't have something wrong with you. You don't. You don't.
He's right. He's right. I'll show you this milk video. All right, yeah, I had my fill of Phil. And we'll end the night out with this. Told you. Man, it goes right into it. Look at that shit.
It's not really like, oh, I get my glass of milk out of the fridge and it's bad. You know, that's got a smell to it too, but this is just like a real rotten.
There is something that stinks in Beaver County tonight, and people are fed up. You wouldn't know it by just looking at it here, but this Red Sea here of chunky liquid, well, that's rotten milk.
Yeah. Oh, man, I don't want to look at that. A month-long investigation by news specialist Shara Park uncovered a problem in Beaver County that, if not addressed, could lead to a toxic situation.
I live next to my dad.
For 40 years.
My mom lives behind us.
Yo, imagine being around that and smelling that. let alone if it could pollute the water and be dangerous.
Dustin Cooney and his family have lived about 4 miles west of I-15
Yeah, DSP's Jindai. What the fuck, dude? I told you.
in Beaver, in the community of Greenville.
My family's lived here since 1982. We've had all these lots.
Like, how rotten does milk have to get to turn red? It's going to be, because, like, I bring my kids home around 3 or 4, so it's going to be evening-ish. We're going to eat dinner on stream. Not just the bugs, and then we're going to go into the bugs.
Across from Cooney's property is a hill.
This is called the Way Hill, and everybody in town...
Yeah, that shit. Dude, I think if we even took a deep whiff of that shit near that toxic red milk, you'd probably kill you.
Town calls it that.
For decades, that hill was a dumping site for whey, a liquid derived from cheese often used as fertilizer. But at some point, trucks began dumping milk.
Full tankers coming out here.
Lots and lots of milk.
They come out here from 5 in the morning till noon. They're dumping this.
For months, Cooney has documented the milk dumping, concerned about where it's going.
There's been days you can literally see a river of milk running.
To find out, we flew our KSL TV drone over the property, and this is what we discovered.
Holy
a large
shit.
man-made basin filled with rotting milk, and the chunky stuff, algal blooms.
How is this legal in this day and age?
I'm standing out here on the edge of the property, and the smell is just awful. Rotten milk baking in the sun. It's putrid. But the residents are worried about more than just the smell out here. They're worried about what is in this retention pond, and is it seeping into their groundwater?
That's all I know. I don't know anything else. This is where my family is.
So who owns the property and who's dumping the milk? We dug into county records and found the land belongs to Dairy Farmers of America, the company that owns the popular creamery just off of I-15. But like Cooney said, are their actions legal? That's where this gets complicated.
I think it was probably just a misunderstanding.
Up until 2018.
What a fucking misunderstanding. What a fucking misunderstanding. Holy shit.
The company had a fertilizer license from the Utah Department of Agriculture, allowing them to incorporate the whey into the land. But then their operations changed to dumping milk.
Permits were evaluated, and it was determined that because they were not selling fertilizer from their place, that they did not need that particular permit.
The Department of Agriculture says the company should have applied for a groundwater discharge permit from the Utah Department of Water Quality. When we asked if they did that and had one,
no, they don't.
John Mackey is the director of the
What the fuck? This is bizarre.
agency. He says an investigation into the dump site revealed a history of organic waste disposal dating back to the 1970s. And this milk pond doesn't have a liner or monitoring system, which is required for the permit.
So that shit could be leaking all over. Getting into your drinking water.
It's been a...
Yeah, imagine falling into that. Seriously.
A historic operation, so it's quite possible that this water has reached groundwater. We need to know lots of things about the groundwater itself.
My concern is that if they don't do something to remediate this, how long is it going to take to get into the water aquifer, and how far is it going to travel before it gets to us?
Right now, the number one concern for Greenville residents is their health and safety. So we took their concerns to a soil specialist at Utah State University.
They call me affectionately the dirt doctor.
Greg Carden says any stockpiled, decomposing organic material will release nutrients, but milk contains a lot of fat and...
Yeah, exactly. It's like the equivalent of... It's the milk equivalent of...
I'm sorry.
DBC.
proteins.
And so when that material is decomposed over time, it releases those constituent nutrients. Nitrogen being probably, in my mind, one of the most concerning.
Carden says if nitrogen leaches into the soil and reaches groundwater, Beaver County could have a big problem.
Deep through the soil and in contact with groundwater, if that were to happen, nitrate becomes
The human species was the worst thing to happen to this fucking planet, man.
a livestock and a human drinking water concern. It can alter the ability of the blood, for instance, to carry oxygen and those kinds of things.
Carden says dairy farmers have been dumping organic waste on soil for generations. But while communities grow and development spreads, farmers have to keep up with safety and regulation.
Those would be the things I would be,
Dude, that shit looks like zombie apocalypse stuff, Jedi.
Concerned about watching for and monitoring for in a situation like this long.
I'm just wondering when they're coming to check this out.
In a statement, Dairy Farmers of America acknowledged the increase in milk dumping in Beaver County, saying they appreciate the concerns brought to their attention and they'll work with the state to ensure they're following regulation. But Cooney wants to know why the company initially ignored his concerns.
We've called and complained and everything.
Cooney and his neighbors worry Dairy Farmers of America has put their safety at risk.
It's more about making sure that this ain't going to get into my groundwater.
And they want testing done immediately to see if the soil is
understandably so
contaminated.
I want some remediation answers. I'm not going to say, well, we can look into it and see exact blah, blah, blah. No, I want a detailed plan. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go up and drill and see how far we have to go.
The Utah Division of Environmental Quality issued this warning letter to Dairy Farmers of America. They have 90 days to apply for a groundwater discharge permit, and during that time, test the soil to determine if there is groundwater contamination. If there is, they have 24 hours to report it and then 30 days to put a plan into place to fix it. If they don't, they could face legal action by the state. Guys?
Yeah, plenty of people can get sick in that time. Oh, man, damn. I actually would love to. I want to stream more, but I can't because children are here, and I know they're going to be getting me up at the ass crack of dawn. So, it's so, yeah, I told you, everyone's like, oh, bullshit, Rich. The milk is so rotten that it's red. Oh, fuck, Rich was right. Yeah, it's disgusting. All right, guys, I'll see you tomorrow. Hope my explanation of that ad cleared everything up. Some people don't think it's a valid enough answer. It is what it is. But I'm just going to move on, make content for tomorrow, and I will see you guys real soon. Have a good one.